It's finally here. Welcome to the Miracle Zone. More than a podcast, this is a sacred space for visionary leaders and heart-centered entrepreneurs who are ready to take off the masks, set aside the roles, and step into the raw, magical truth of what it actually means to lead in these transformational times. More than just building a business and a brand, you know that you're also here to share your medicine, lead a movement, and leave a legacy. If you've been craving next level conversations to get you to your next level, conversations that blend bold leadership, intuitive wisdom, and a touch of the miraculous, then you're in the right place. Because around here, we don't do things in a linear way. Whether you're already running a thriving business, leading a dream team, and impacting millions, or you're still on your way there, here we'll break free from the old ways of doing things and step into a multidimensional way of creating and leadership. Because in the Miracle Zone, we explore the intersection of business, leadership, and frequency. It's where strategy meets soul, and where visionary ideas become reality. And they happen in a snap. I'm Katarina, your host, guide, and bridge between the practical and the mystical in life and business. I'll share insights, channeled guidance, and heart-opening stories from pioneering leaders like you who are living at the edge and reshaping the way that we lead in this new world. So if you're ready to tap into your miracle frequency, to embrace the heart-led leadership that changes everything, then join me. Because this, my love, this is the Miracle Zone. I ask, I see, I know, I trust, I be. Hello, and welcome back to the Miracle Zone podcast, where business, leadership, and frequency align. And woo! Today, we are going to focus on the frequency part in particular, specifically working with the energetics of this time, of this season, and how we can work with it to support us to be in our miracle zone. Energy and embodiment is one of the 7 elements of the Miracle Business framework that I shared. And if you missed that episode, you can check out episode 3, where I lay out all of the different elements. And so today we're going to really zoom in on the energy and embodiment. Now, the reason I really wanted to spend some time today diving more deeply into this is because there's a lot going on energetically at this time. And if we can lean into it and allow it to support us, it will allow us to deepen into our miracle zone and also to work with it in our business and in our leadership over the coming weeks. And I think it's laying a lot of the foundations for the coming months as well. So we've just had a very powerful full moon eclipse in Virgo that threw us, I don't know how you felt, but thrust us into this eclipse portal that we have before another upcoming eclipse. And we are in that window in between both eclipses. So that's one thing that's been going on and potently influencing the energy and the field. The other thing is that we have equinox that has just taken place. And depending on which hemisphere you're in, either spring or autumnal equinox. And so that's another powerful portal and season, if we work with the seasons, that invites us into a certain specific exploration and energy. And then on top of that, Venus is in retrograde, and she's been in retrograde now for a short amount of time already. And so we've been working through that. And also Mercury went into retrograde. So there's just a lot going on. And I have been in deep reflection and quite literally almost to the hour that Venus went into retrograde, I tripped and fell and injured my foot. And so I have been the last 2 weeks unable to walk, unable to drive, unable to do almost anything, having to use crutches. But even then, my foot will start hurting, and it's my left foot. So also working with the feminine. And these lessons have been really front and center for me. And so this was just with Venus going into retrograde before even hitting the eclipse, before getting to this point of the equinox, and ahead of us now looking forward to the next eclipse that's coming. And depending on how tuned in you are to astrology and all of the things happening or not, I know either way that you're very energetically attuned if you're here, if you're in my space. And so sometimes we don't quite know what it is that's going on, but we can feel it. And for me, for many years, it was more of a feeling of it. And then as I started diving more deeply into astrology and working with the seasons and with these, powerful portals such as the equinox and the solstices that we have been working with for millennia and millennia in working with the earth and aligning with the earth and syncing with the earth, a lot of it is just now clear. Like I see the connection between the different pieces, but for me, it very much always initiates with the embodied experience of it. I can feel it before I even know what it is. And then I will get curious. And as I look into what's happening in the cosmos, what's happening in terms of where we are in the wheel of the year, then it's, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. So what I wanted to share today, first of all, was just to presence that in case you're feeling a lot. It's totally normal. It's coming up for a lot of my clients as well. Just a lot of, I don't know, a bit of a hot mess energy and a lot of forced surrender energy. And sitting with, okay, what does that mean for how I show up in my own personal life and how I lead also in my personal life? What does it mean for how I show up in my business? And what does it mean for the business going forward? What is being revealed? What am I seeing? And so I wanted to come in here and just share some of the wisdom nuggets that I have been feeling and that I have been seeing come up for me to invite some reflection and also some resources to support you in this time. And I'm slowing down and I'm tuning in because it's been such a visceral, embodied experience for me to not be able to walk or move. It's been like a forced handbrake, just just somebody just like pulled up the handbrake and was like, nope, no, we are going to have to sit still and stop. And it's difficult because I already spend a lot of time in stillness and in the feminine space and in the surrender and in the receiving. So it's not like I'm starting from zero, but I remember getting this insight at the end of last year that I shared that your next level is going to require a deeper level of surrender. And I remember being so curious. Your next level is going to require a deeper level of surrender. Wow. What does that mean? There's already so much surrender in the work that I do in working with the miracle frequency and working with others to get in their miracle zone. A lot of that is a surrender of control, a surrender of this ego. And also, how do we work with that and balance with the fact that we are living in this human existence in this 3D world? And what does that mean in terms of how we create in this world? There's already so much surrender there. And so I was a little curious, what will that look like? And here it is. It was literally sit still and you can't do almost anything. It's a forced surrender and also a forced receiving. I've done so much work to expand my capacity to receive. I support a lot of my clients with that too. It's just one of the things that I do. It's so important to do this internal work of opening your capacity to receive more. And I work with that a lot in terms of the miracle frequency, because one of the things that happens often is when the miracles start dropping in, all of a sudden it's like, what? It's a lot on our system to receive a miracle because we didn't cause it. We didn't even manifest it. It's in its purest form of receiving the grace out of nowhere. And how do we deal with that when it arrives? And how do we stay open to receive more without thinking, oh, am I worthy enough? Am I, yeah, and getting all up in our head about it. And so this has really stretched my receiving muscle as well. So I've had to rely on so many amazing people to support me with the most basic things. I've had friends bring me food. I've had friends bring me firewood. I've had flowers being brought to me, these beautiful roses that I have sitting here. I've had cat food being brought to me. I've had my son cooking meals, bless his beautiful heart, and my messy kitchen that's exploding all over the place. There's just been, I've received friends bringing me things to help with the healing process, friends bringing fuzzy socks. And it's friends taking me to the hospital. It's so much and it's so beautiful. And it's required a level of vulnerability and openness and asking for what I really desire and require in a way that I've never had to do that before. And all this to say that I have been in this beautiful bubble of forced pause and receiving also, and all of the emotions involved in that, all of the vulnerability, all of the helplessness. Every day I go through a wave of, not so much this week, but the first week, a wave of tears of not being able to do things. And what does that mean as a single mother to not be able to do anything? And how will this work out? And working through those things that were coming. How will the world organize around this? How will the business organize around this? How will I keep showing up for my clients? And it all has beautifully worked out. And I feel like this period, even though it's been really rough, has been such a blessing and such a miracle. And that was one of my big ahas that I had was even this is a miracle. Even this really challenging place to be of forced surrender, of injury, of not knowing when it's going to improve. And even this is a miracle. And the reason a lot of this has been coming up, and I've been getting so many insights related to my business, to the legacy I'm here to leave, to the leadership. My sessions with my clients have been amazing. And all of this has come from a place of forced pause and review. And that's ultimately one of the big things that Venus in retrograde is inviting us to do. Hopefully for you, in a way that isn't as abrupt and forced. But I wanted to just pass on this message that we are in a point right now where we really want to choose and not be forced to, but to choose to use this period right now as a period of review of the lessons that have been moving through our lives and through our field for the last couple of months. And so if you want to learn more about Venus wisdom, you can tune in with one of my mentors who actually is the one that I've learned a lot about working with this Venusian wisdom. And one of the things, her name is Sasha, and I'll include her link below. And I'm planning to bring her on the podcast as well soon to talk about this. But part of what's coming through the Venus wisdom is Venus has just been on a 19-month cycle, and now she's in retrograde, and she's revisiting all of the lessons from this past 19-month cycle and getting ready for her next cycle. And so the invitation is a deep slow down and review. What have you learned? What has come up? Who have you become? And there's very specific themes that I've been working with related to that. For example, for me, a lot around creativity, a lot around leadership, a lot of very Leo themes because it was a Leo cycle that Venus was in the last 19 months. And taking the time to do that internal debrief and that internal review before moving ahead into the next phase. And so that's one of the things that I really want to invite you to support you in this time is to give yourself the time to do that review. It's one of the things that I know that Sasha has been suggesting, and that for me, even without intentionally choosing to do it, because I've been stationary, unable to move, it's created the space for that. The second theme I want to touch on, so one being review. The second theme I want to touch on was related to this first eclipse that we've just had, that what was coming through for me when I was tuning into the energy was the importance of sitting with the really tender, soft space of unbecoming. So that's something that's come up for me too, is one of the songs that I'm currently working on to finalize has been a deep exploration of life and death and the rebirth portal in between. And one of the themes that I hadn't explored that's since come up for me in the creation of the song was, wow, there is that space between life and death, that space between life and death, where there is the injured one, the vulnerable one, the one that's in pain, the one that's helpless, the one that requires support and to rely on others to have their needs met. And we don't often sit in that uncomfortable space of the portal between life and death. And so this is one of the themes that's coming up in this song and that I've been exploring this week. And so one of the invitations I want to invite you into as well, so review, but also to allow the deconstruction and the dismemberment and the destruction even, and the coming apart of the structures that have been, to make space for the new that's being built within. And this can look like in your body, in your energy, but it can also look like in your business. What's falling away? What is done? What feels done and complete? And I need to release. This is also very connected to this last eclipse and to Virgo, and to just clearing it out, purification, cleaning out what is stale, what no longer belongs, getting it out of here and allowing that to move through. And so if you didn't do anything related to that around the eclipse, around the full moon in Virgo, beautiful opportunity to still do that space of the clearing. And when we clear, what happens is we are the mush in between what was and what is coming. I love talking about this beautiful chrysalis space. I actually have a chrysalis codes activation that can support you with this. So I'll link it below. It's free. You can just tune in. It's a frequency track, a light encoded track. I do bring through some light codes through it to support you in this chrysalis space. And so I invite you to listen to that and just let the sound current move through you and allow this softening into the unbecoming, into the nothingness, into the goop. So this is the second theme I really wanted to touch into, was this, the unbecoming, the chrysalis space, and how that involves the releasing, a releasing of what no longer serves, even though we don't know what will remain. Now, the third and final piece I want to talk about is one of the things that's really beautiful to work with in equinox energies is the balance, right? Equinox is when the balance of nighttime and daytime is beautifully balanced. And so it's always an invitation into balance. And so if we see ourselves as moving through this chrysalis and blah, 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 everything is coming, we're melting, blah, 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 becoming the goop between the caterpillar and the butterfly, blah, blah. It's all coming apart. we want to come together as we restructure into the new in a beautifully balanced way. Even though we don't know what it is, but we can set the intention for that and use the equinox energies to support us to do this reconstruction in a balanced way. And so all those things that we decided when we did our review, we decided to let go and let deconstruct all those habits that do not serve us. They could be personal habits, they can be relationships, they can be all those things that do not serve that we have released. How do we come back in a more balanced way in those areas? What does that look like? And set that intentionality. And I want to invite you into a very specific aspect of this balance as it relates to your leadership and your business. The theme that was really coming through was this balance of structure and flow. How can we emerge from this portal that we're going through, this eclipse portal, this Venus retrograde cycle, where we're being invited to review all of these beautiful Venusian themes, which includes this leadership that we bring into the world, this radiance that we bring into the world. It includes the beauty that we work with on a daily basis in the world, in our lives. It includes so many themes related to wealth and to abundance and to, just this both soft but powerful, fierce expression of these themes, these feminine themes in our lives, regardless of the gender that we are. But how do we work with these? And so the invitation is, how can I balance structure and flow more in my business? One really good way to do that is if you check out my Miracle Business Blueprint, a lot of what's in there is exactly this. There's the structure aspect of it, and then there's the flow, there's the energetics, there's the embodiment aspect of it, and then there's the strategy aspect of it. And we kind of work with these different themes for the 7 parts of the framework. So you can download that as well in the links. It's totally free and it'll guide you. So there's actually a checklist in there where you can go through the 7 core elements in your business and identify any red flag areas that might be in need of support. And it might look like more structure. It might look like more flow. It's a really powerful time as you're doing that review to then identify and see what course corrections you can make. And then also in your life, in your habits, in your days, I really work a lot with my days. How much time am I spending more in structured time and energy? And how much time am I spending in this more flow, fluid, surrendered, receptive energy? And how do I work with both and not make one more predominant than the other, but really find a beautiful integrated balance? So that's the invitation today, my loves, to sit with these themes as we continue to move through this eclipse portal and to allow these natural energies that we are alive and residing in to support us to be more and more in our miracle zone and more aligned as we're showing up in our leadership, more and more aligned in our businesses, and setting the stage for this new beautiful rebirth that is coming in a few weeks' time. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sending you so much love and blessings in these times and so much care as well as you go through this beautiful metamorphosis. Thank you for tuning in to the Miracle Zone. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a transmission. And if today's episode and conversation resonated, leave a review and share it with a fellow visionary leader. In the links, you can access my free Miracle Business Blueprint, the 7-part framework I use with my clients to create a thriving, scalable, and self-sustaining business that gives you more freedom, not less. Plus, you'll receive a guided process to identify where to focus first so you can spend more time leading in your miracle zone right away. Let's build the new as a collective for the collective. Together, we're not just creating miracles, we're living them. Until next time, stay in the miracle zone.